Assassination of conservative political activist Charlie Kirk 1 week ago while at a crowded event at Utah Valley University. Now, we do have team coverage here, as always, to break down everything. We have Sam Bassett, criminal defense attorney, joining us live from over in Austin, Texas. But first, I do want to check in with Sarah Allegre over at Fox News. She is live for us over in Utah. And Sarah, what is the latest here on this investigation?
Well, Josh, we did hear from the Washington County Sheriff's Department a bit earlier. He shared more information about how the suspect was brought into custody. A fellow law enforcement friend helped negotiate a peaceful transfer into police custody. But I want to bring you to where I'm standing here. I'm at the courtyard at Utah Valley University. And as you can imagine, Josh, it's very quiet. It's somber as well as students take this time to reflect on that tragedy that happened a week ago. Today, there are several mental health resources and a memorial that continues to grow both inside campus grounds and outside.
The nation right now is so divided, and it's just a really scary time for people. Despite what you thought about Charlie, or what you thought about politically, about his beliefs, we need to be able to protect our freedom of speech and be able to move about freely without being afraid for our lives.
Now let's talk about the investigation here. Before yesterday's court hearing, we learned a lot from the lead prosecutor. Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray read off a text exchange between the suspect and his roommate. He also described the moment the suspect's parents confronted him about the shooting.
Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy, referring to Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate.
Now, in those texts between the suspect and his roommate, the suspect wrote, "To be honest, I hope to keep this a secret until I died of old age. I'm sorry to have involved you." The roommate replied, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" The suspect wrote back, I'm sorry." Then when his roommate asked why he did it, the suspect replied, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out." Now, the suspect seemed stoic when he made his first court appearance virtually from the Utah County Jail, wearing a special suicide prevention vest as the judge read off 7 charges, including aggravated murder, 2 counts of obstruction of justice, felony discharge of a firearm that caused serious injury, and 2 counts of witness tampering and committing a violent crime in front of a child. Now, tonight, the suspect remains at the Utah County Jail, where he's being held without bail, and his next court hearing is scheduled for the end of the month. That's September 29th. Josh, back to you.
All right, Sarah Allegre there over at Fox News joining us here with the latest. Sarah, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I do want to send it over to Sam Bassett, criminal defense attorney, joining us now live to discuss all of this here. Thank you so much, Sam, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so first off, one thing that I do want to ask you about is some information that did come in just a bit earlier from the court documents. And before we get into it, I want to go into those details because the mother of the man suspected of assassinating Charlie Kirk actually told investigators that she had watched her son change dramatically in the year leading up to the attack. Court documents that were obtained by Fox News allege that Tyler Robinson's mother also stated that her son had become more political, leaning left and supporting, quote, pro-gay and trans rights. She also spoke of arguments there between Robinson and his father, who apparently held competing views. Now, my question for you, as we look at this and the investigation does continue, how impactful could this information be in the case against Robinson?
Well, it's obviously impactful because it gives a motive for him to commit the crime. And it also plays into the actual aggravating factor that makes this a death penalty case, which is he was motivated to assassinate a political leader or political speaker for those reasons. So that's important background information leading up to the shooting to show not just the motive, but the aggravating factor that makes it an aggravated murder case.
I did want to ask you about the death penalty. That is something that has been discussed a lot. We heard from the attorney there for the county that he plans to seek the death penalty here in this case. What is it that makes this a death penalty case?
Simply murdering a person, a single person, is not a death penalty case in California and Utah or most states, or in my state, Texas. There has to be other aggravating factors, such as committing the murder while committing another felony. In this case, there's an aggravating factor in the Utah statute for those who murder somebody either in the presence of children or endangering children while committing the murder, or also for political motivations, terroristic type motivations. That's also makes it a death penalty case. So it's a special kind of murder case that makes it eligible for the death penalty.
Can you explain some of the charges that he does face? You're looking at them on your screen right here. We've got aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, causing serious bodily injury. There are quite a few of them. So tell me, what these all mean and what really stands out to you as a charge.
Well, obviously, the big charge is the aggravated murder. It is far and wide the most serious of these charges. The other charges of obstruction of justice and witness tampering are indicative of his behavior in trying to conceal or trying to get somebody not to tell somebody. So they must have that information in some communications that they have. Obviously, the discharging of a firearm, causing serious bodily injury is kind of a subcategory of the murder. And then finally, committing a violent act in front of a child is only a misdemeanor. But obviously, all of these clumped together create quite a catalog of charges. But the most serious issue is the aggravated murder charge, for sure.
What determines whether federal charges are filed as well? Because we've heard from Attorney General Pam Bondi. She has said that they are looking into that and potentially could pursue federal charges on top of the charges that he already faces. So how does that factor into all of this?
Well, the state may proceed first, and then the federal government may just wait and see what happens with this case. Or they could file a separate case. We've seen it's not unprecedented. I think there's a Georgia case where there was a murder prosecution in state court and then a civil rights prosecution afterwards. Sometimes in high publicity cases like this, the federal government will choose to go ahead and prosecute, even if someone's convicted in state court, because the charge has different elements. So they can be charged both under the federal statute and the state statute. So there's no statute of limitations in filing a murder case. So the Department of Justice can just wait and make a decision sometime in the future.
I want to ask you, this is something that can be difficult to determine, as this is all just 1 week out. All of this just happening last Wednesday there with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. When you look at this case as a whole, is this the type of case that would normally eventually go to trial? Does it end with a plea deal? Is that kind of unclear at this point?
There's a high likelihood, in my opinion, this will go to trial. If you're Mr. Wilson's lawyer and they tell you if he pleads guilty, we're going to recommend the death penalty, well, that's kind of the worst case scenario from a jury. So no defense lawyer worth his salt is going to not take it to trial unless they offer something other than the death penalty, which I'd be shocked if that happens in this case.
What do you think about the American people being able to watch this? Because we know that yesterday, for that first hearing for Tyler Robinson, you had essentially cameras that were there via Zoom, where the American public was able to watch everything that happened, every interaction there. Again, it was virtual, but if they were to actually televise this trial and allow cameras in there, what benefit could that serve the American people?
I think the benefit it would serve is to show the American public how a fair system of justice works. There's no doubt Mr. Wilson will be appointed a highly competent lawyer or a team of lawyers to represent him. He will also probably have appointed experts who will testify about his psychological well-being and his background that could have helped contribute to this, with the hope of mitigating and stopping him from receiving the death penalty. So I think a televised trial would be helpful for everyone to understand how the system works, and whatever the result is, they can see due process in action.
All right, Sam Bassett, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and helping to break it all down legally. We definitely appreciate it.
Thank you.